Got our CEJ here. Okay, and what's 2 millimeters away from this? Yeah, so we're going to draw a little point. Oh, let's make it a little bit, say 2 millimeters here and about 2 millimeters there. All right.
So just to clarify, 2 millimeters down
from the CEJ in the apical direction. This is where the height of the alveolar crest will be. So now we're going to draw in the bone or the tooth socket. So we know that that's the height there, and then we're going to bring that bone to represent almost a very thin, less than 1 millimeter gap for the periodontal ligament. Okay, there we go. And we're going to draw our little open spaces here, which are what? Cancellous bone. It's a spongy bone. The bone that lines the tooth socket is the lamina dura. So there's our lamina dura. And this is the alveolar what? Crest. Good? All good so far? Alright, what's the next structure that we should put in now? No? The junction epithelium is the next structure that we need to put in, and that sort of sits just around the area here of the CEJ again. Okay, so there's our junctional epithelium. Now if you want, now is the time to draw in the cementum. Don't do it beforehand, because then people start getting confused about how many layers of structures there are. So once we've got that clear in our head, we can now draw another line on the inside of the root surface here. Okay, to represent cementum. And one thing we forgot to label here is the apical foramen. Okay, so now that we've got a junction epithelium, we need to draw, I guess, the gingival margin and the sulcular epithelium. Okay, so we know that there's about, say, 2 millimeters of free gingiva here. So we're going to draw our gingival papilla, and then we're going to start drawing the gingival tissues on top of the alveolar bone. Okay, now if you notice here, I'm going to draw a dotted line about there, because what am I representing here? Yep, the free gingiva. Which means that about this point here we have a little groove. And that groove is the? Yep. The free gingival groove. Okay, now we have to draw in our mucogingival junction. Okay, so if you remember from yesterday, whereabouts are we going to put that? Now we did talk about the fact that attached gingiva can vary quite dramatically amongst different individuals. So for the purpose of our diagram drawing, where are we going to put the mucogingival junction, do you remember? Alright, so the top third of the tooth, which is about there. Okay, so at this point here, we're going to place in our mucogingival junction. Which means now that from this dotted line here to this dotted line here, we have what? Yeah? Okay, so now from the mucogingival junction onwards, we have our, lucky I checked, it's a permanent marker. Okay, what do we have here then? If that's a mucogingival junction, that's our alveolar mucosa. Okay, so now I'm going to draw the different epithelial layers in, okay? So we know what type of epithelium do we have lining the sulcus? Sulcular epithelium. So has that got rete ridges? No. Alright, so then we draw a straight line there, and then we start putting in the rete ridges as we approach and cover the oral epithelium. Right? So this point here then is your oral epithelium. This one here is your sulcular epithelium. Sorry, Renee. Okay, so we've got our rete ridges. And then at the mucogingival junction, the epithelium then becomes lining mucosa. So we get that sort of more flattened connective tissue, epithelial tissue interface. All good? Okay, now all that's left really, that little space and that 2 millimeters from the base of the junction epithelium to the tip of the alveolar crest, we have what? Gingival fibres, that's right. So they come off in all different directions. So if we put a little, there's our gingival fibres. And sorry I didn't have the red marker because that would have represented it a lot better. And then from the tip of the alveolar crest, coming across here, we begin with our periodontal ligament. And they start off as horizontal fibres, and then they become a lot more oblique as you cover that area there. So they just go down, and then they start here, periodontal ligament. And I think we've covered everything there. Is that good? Yeah. Good.